Hello, I'm Robin Yeager, the Director of Church of Annunciation's Guest House in New Orleans, Louisiana. I have spent 12 years working with over 16,000 volunteers from all over the world. Some have come from as close as Baton Rouge, others as far away as France. Many stay for a week, several have never left. They have come to New Orleans to volunteer in the community, having been a big part of the rebuilding of this city. I'm going to talk to you today about the effects that volunteerism can have on a society after a natural disaster. 12 years ago, on August 29th, Hurricane Katrina made landfall as a Category 3 hurricane with sustained winds of 127 miles per hour. She came onshore near Burris, Louisiana. She went on to cause destruction and havoc throughout the Gulf Coast region, killing 1,833 people and causing over $100 billion worth of damage. By far, the costliest and hardest hit area was the city of New Orleans. When the levees failed, 80% of the city went underwater, and 134,000 housing units were damaged. That's 70% of the occupied housing in the city. Not even 24 hours after Katrina was downgraded to a tropical storm over Tennessee, volunteers started to come to New Orleans and the surrounding areas. A 46-member heavy search and rescue team from Vancouver arrived in St. Bernard Parish. This team included structural engineers, specialists in heavy rigging, search, logistics, rescue, and much-needed doctors and nurses. They helped to search thousands of homes and businesses, rescuing people from flooded buildings and helping to treat the injured. In the coming weeks and months, thousands of volunteers came pouring into the city to help rebuild. They stayed in any place that would have them, from the Salvation Army, which was made into a volunteer village, to sleeping on church floors. They did anything that was needed, from gutting homes to handing out bleach and water at relief centers. In response to these volunteers, a growing industry that sprung up throughout the city to house and find work for the volunteers. Annunciation Guest House, Camp Hope, Molly's House, St. Paul's Homecoming Center, and the St. Bernard Project, just to name a few. And there are already existing nonprofits like Rebuild Together and Habitat for Humanity thrived. Rebuild Together has built over 500 homes, and Habitat has built 450 homes. Those of you from New Orleans, I'm sure, have seen some of the hundreds of thousands of volunteers who have come to New Orleans and contributed millions of hours of labor to the city and surrounding communities. They are directly responsible for rebuilding thousands of homes, and in doing so have affected the economy, which affects all of us. Volunteers who come from out of town pay for transportation, housing, and food. So not only are they helping to rebuild homes, they help local businesses too. They bring in a much-needed influx of cash, which is greatly needed after a natural disaster. When thousands or even hundreds of thousands of volunteers come to an area after a natural disaster like they did here after Hurricane Katrina, it helps to jumpstart the economy. Another boon to the economy came through good neighborhood leadership. A perfect example is Broadmoor. Early on, Broadmoor Improvement Association, the BIA, President Latoya Cantrell partnered with the local church, Church of the Annunciation. The BIA committed to find out what work needed to be done in the neighborhood, and the church committed to bringing in volunteers. The BIA organized and supervised the rebuilding, while the church housed and fed the volunteers. Thanks to this partnership and thousands of volunteers that have helped rebuild the neighborhood, Broadmoor made great progress. And with progress came investors, willing to take the opportunity to invest in these neighborhoods. These investments help the neighborhoods come back even stronger than before. When volunteers come to help, they don't just help a few families and individuals rebuild their homes. They help entire communities. One way they help the whole community is with morale. We all know how uplifting it can be to know that there is help, to know that people care, and it raises people's hopes and helps them to go on. We have looked at how volunteering benefits the community of those affected by a natural disaster. Now let's look at the benefits to society from where the volunteers come. Those who volunteer know that volunteer gives you a sense of pride, satisfaction, and accomplishment. Volunteering our time and talents help us to connect to our neighbors, improve lives, and strengthen our communities. Research shows that there is an added benefit of being healthier. It has been found that people who volunteer have greater functionality, lower rates of depression, and are overall healthier and happier. Although there is one negative effect on a community when unskilled and untrained volunteers come There is one negative effect on a community. When unskilled and untrained volunteers come before search and rescue has had a chance to finish rescuing everyone, volunteers, at the very least, can get in the way, and at the worst, they get hurt and need to be rescued themselves, becoming not a part of the solution, but part of the problem. In conclusion, volunteerism is good for society. It is good for us as individuals. Volunteers bring not only helping hands, they bring hope. They give communities who were dealt a harsh blow someone to lean on, a shoulder to cry on, and the many hands desperately needed to rebuild. Thank you for listening, and I urge you to go and volunteer your time and talents to charities close to home and far away.